A lot of people think that using industry-standard software guarantees great results. Like if you're running the right tool, the renders will follow. Actually, they don't. Most of the time, you'll spend hours tweaking settings and still end up with the same average-looking result. And based on my personal experience, it's usually not the software's fault. The real problem is that the rendered image shows no control. And that's what we're going to solve in this video. It's not caused by just one big mistake, but a stack of smaller ones. Weak lighting placement, materials with no restraint, using too many assets, camera angles that don't say anything, atmosphere pushed too far, post-production doing too much, and underneath all of that, there's one bigger problem. There's no visual intent. That's usually the real reason an image looks polished but still feels wrong. So, let's go through them one by one. It's one of the fastest ways to kill a rendered image, and honestly, one of the most common mistakes I see. When everything is evenly lit, nothing stands out. And when everything is visible, there's nothing guiding the viewer's eye. That's the whole problem. A lot of people light their renders like they're afraid to lose information. They want to show every surface, every corner, every object, every detail, but the moment everything gets equal attention, the image loses its impact. There's no hierarchy, no priority, no mood. It's just plain visibility, and that alone is not enough. A strong image needs contrast in attention. One area leads, while the other supports. That's one way to capture your viewer's attention. Think of it this way. Spaces in the real world are not evenly lit. That's why good renders shouldn't be either. If the whole frame is equally exposed, it might look clean, but it will feel lifeless and flat. A quick way to approach this, without manually tweaking all your lighting, is by using AI Atmosphere Match. You can take a screenshot of your scene and use one of the built-in presets. Or upload a reference image if you already have a specific look in mind. It's a much faster way to explore different moods and directions early on. This one shows up constantly, and it immediately signals that something's off. One good example is when the surfaces look flawless. This happens when reflections are strong and too polished to a point where it doesn't look real anymore. It doesn't matter if the material quality is high. If it doesn't show any signs of controlled sheen, it would still look fake. A lot of people assume glossy means premium. Well, it doesn't. Most of the time, it just means the material is doing too much, or should I say, too perfect. Materials in the real world have variation. They show subtle roughness and small imperfections. They respond to light in a way that feels genuine, because when every surface looks spotless, the whole image starts to feel unnatural. It should only be optimized to support the whole image. If the reflection is louder than the architecture, something needs to change. As you can see, doing this manually can take quite a bit of time. So if you already know the kind of material you're aiming for, AI Material Snap makes the process a lot quicker. You just upload a reference image, select the material you want to sample, and apply it directly into your scene. Make sure to enable the displacement before you hit the Generate button if you want more control later on. It speeds things up without having to manually dial in every parameter yourself. From here, activate True Displacement and enable the Maintain Continuity option before increasing the subdivision level value. This is where renders start trying too hard. Too many objects, too many plants, too much repetition. Everything is aiming for realism, but the result feels forced. Every empty space is filled. Every corner is decorated. Every shot has people, trees, furniture, accessories, all stacked on top of each other. Remember that having detail is not the same as having direction. More assets don't automatically make a render feel real. Sometimes they just hide the main subject or point of interest. For example, the same plants are being repeated and trees that look copy-pasted. This makes the image look assembled rather than observed. Assets should be helping with scale, focus, mood, or story. If they're not doing one of those things, then they're just clutter. A weak camera angle can absolutely spoil a solid render. You can have your model, lighting, and materials dialed in, but if the camera has no intent, the image falls apart, and there's nothing else that can save it. The most common version of this is going too wide, too high, and showing too much at once. It comes from wanting to show everything, which makes sense, but it weakens the shot instantly. The viewer sees more and feels less. There's no subject, no tension, no visual priority. It's just showing coverage, and coverage isn't composition. A strong camera angle makes a decision. It picks what matters. It frames the architecture in a way that gives the rendered image a direction. The camera isn't supposed to be neutral. It's supposed to say something. If it doesn't, then the render won't either. While we're on the subject, if you want to dive deeper into architectural compositions, grab a copy of my ebook, Mastering Composition in Architectural Visualization. This will definitely widen your understanding on its fundamentals, as well as when to use it. The link is in the description. Atmosphere is one of those things that can make or break an image. When it's done right, it adds softness, depth, mood, presence. But when it's done wrong, it will end up having too much fog, too much bloom, too much glow, too much drama. We don't want that because it's exposing weak fundamentals. At first it reads as cinematic. Then you start to notice the image underneath the effect isn't carrying its own weight. Atmosphere should complement the composition. If the lighting has no hierarchy, atmosphere won't fix that. If the frame is weak, adding fog won't save it. If the materials are off, bloom makes them worse. If you start aiming for mood before the image has structure, you will end up having an image filled with haze instead of depth. You might think it's emotion, but honestly, it's just visual noise. I'm sorry, but I see a lot of artists making this same mistake. Make it a habit to make your atmosphere subtle so that it elevates your render, because if you do it too much, all it does is just expose its flaws. Normally, getting this look takes a lot of time, especially if you're adjusting everything manually and trying to fine-tune each setting on your own. That's where AI style transfer becomes really useful. You can start with one of the presets, or upload a reference image if you already have a specific mood or presentation style in mind. It's a much faster way to explore different visual directions without rebuilding everything from scratch. This next mistake is common because post-production genuinely feels like control, putting in the final touches and making it yours. This is when we sharpen the image, push the contrast. It may look better for a moment, but then it will start looking heavy. You might think that it's cinematic or refined, but actually it looks, for the lack of a better term, excessively edited, and that's exactly what makes a render look average. A good post-production should tighten the image, guide the eye, improve the tone, finish what's already working. It shouldn't be trying to resolve weak fundamentals or force emotion into the shot. I challenge you to try this out and see for yourself how small little tweaks does the trick. I got a few comments on my previous video asking how to create blurry motion effects for moving people or light streaks from vehicles, especially for night scenes. So here's a quick way to do it. Once your render is finished, head over to the post-processing section in D5 and follow along with what I'm showing here. I still remember how time-consuming this used to be in Photoshop. Now the whole process can be done directly inside D5 without needing to switch over to another post-production software. This is the big one. All the other mistakes mentioned earlier usually trace back to this. No visual intent means the render might be technically correct, but it doesn't say anything. That's why some images look finished but still feel empty. The image has no meaning, no story, no hierarchy, no reason for the viewer to care. When you don't know what the image is trying to say, every other decision you made earlier gets weaker. The camera becomes random, the lighting becomes generic, the materials become basic, the atmosphere becomes compensation. A good render is not a collection of correct settings. It's a visual decision. It shows what matters and what doesn't. It guides the viewer where to look, what to feel, and why this particular moment deserves their attention. If your render still looks sloppy, stop searching for the perfect settings. That's not the fix. Look at your decisions instead. Is the lighting leading the eye? Are the materials believable? Are the assets helping the image? Is the camera saying something? Is the atmosphere enhancing the render? Is the post-production elevating the image? And then ask the real question, what is this render actually about? Because once that becomes clear, the image starts pulling you in. It gets stronger by showing the viewer what matters. You stop decorating and start directing. When an image has clarity on its intent, it stops looking fake. If this video helped you see what's really making your renders fall apart, give it a like and subscribe. Most of you watching still haven't subscribed yet, and that small action genuinely helps this channel grow. I put a lot of effort into creating every video, and seeing this channel grow gives me more drive to keep making content that actually adds value. If you want to go deeper into composition and visual storytelling, grab my ebook, Mastering Composition in Architectural Visualization. And if you want to keep improving your renders, watch this next video right here.